Hello everyone, I'm a 33-year-old man. Before I share my story, let me pose a question. What would you do if you walked in on your wife, someone you trusted deeply, in an intimate embrace with two other men on your bed? My first encounter with my wife Tracy, who is 29 years old, took place at the movies. I had gone to see a newly released film with my friends, and she was there with her group of friends. Our connection began that day, and soon after, we started dating. We dated for a year, and eventually, we tied the knot. What initially started as a simple friendship eventually turned into one of the most heartbreaking chapters of my love life. In the early stages of our marriage, it felt like a true blessing to be married to Tracy. We were genuinely happy together, and as her husband, I did everything in my power to support her dreams and encourage her personal growth. During those initial 2 years, our marriage was strong. Tracy was not only sweet and supportive, but also incredibly intelligent. I could confidently say she embodied everything I desired in a partner: a skilled cook, a fantastic personality, a graceful individual, and above all, someone who valued honesty. If there was one trait I cherished most about her, it was her unwavering honesty. While Tracy worked at a fast food restaurant, I pursued a career as a graphic designer, specializing in creating banners, billboards, and related designs. Both of us earned decent incomes, but I took on most of the financial responsibilities at home since Tracy channeled her earnings into following her passion. Before we got married, Tracy shared that her childhood dream was to become an actress. However, her parents never supported this aspiration. They insisted she pursue a different course in college, deeming acting as less respectable than she believed it to be. When Tracy shared her lifelong dream of becoming an actress and her desire to pursue it, she asked if I was okay with it, and I assured her I was supportive. I understood what it meant to be passionate about something and not pursue it, as I had my own unfulfilled career aspirations. Consequently, I wholeheartedly backed Tracy's journey by encouraging her to join drama clubs, take on volunteer roles, and engage in various acting opportunities that brought her closer to her dreams. We also made plans for her to attend a theater arts academy in the future, once we had saved enough money. Another significant reason for my support was Tracy's natural talent for acting. Despite her occasional dramatic tendencies, she possessed remarkable acting skills. Even before I met her, she had taken several courses and immersed herself in learning through countless YouTube videos. Her dedication demonstrated her commitment, and I didn't want to be the one to stand in the way of her dreams. We made the deliberate choice to delay having children due to our focus on Tracy's pursuit of an acting career and her future academy enrollment. Our intention was to start a family after she completed her studies at the academy. I firmly believed that by then, she would have secured prominent roles in plays, dramas, or even movies, thanks to her exceptional talent. I actively encouraged her to participate in dramas, plays, and other opportunities, hoping to showcase her remarkable abilities and help her achieve success. My motivation was simple. I wanted the best for her, and I yearned for her to achieve her dreams. When Tracy initially inquired about my feelings regarding her acting ambitions, we were still in the honeymoon phase of our marriage. During that time, our relationship was filled with love and harmony, devoid of any conflicts or serious disputes. Tracy treated me with affection and respect, like a sweet and caring partner. In that first year of marriage, Tracy persistently applied for various volunteer roles online, but unfortunately she received no responses. There was a period when she grew disheartened due to the lack of replies and contemplated shifting her focus to her new job. However, I continued to provide unwavering encouragement, urging her not to give up on her dreams. Fortunately, several months after celebrating our first anniversary, my wife received a response to one of her job applications. She had applied for a role in a play, and they were interested in hiring a few new actors and actresses. When she received the email, Tracy was incredibly excited, and I couldn't have been happier for her. The best part was that the auditions were being held in our hometown, so she had plenty of time to prepare. On the day of the audition, Tracy passed with flying colors and got the part. She was ecstatic when she shared the news. Additionally, they were going to pay her for her time, and most of the rehearsals were scheduled for weekends. I didn't anticipate how much Tracy would change once she started rehearsals. In the beginning, during the first few weeks of rehearsals, nothing really changed between us. Our communication remained strong, and we continued our usual activities. The only difference was that we spent less time together on weekends. Tracy's rehearsals took up her weekends as she would wake up early, take care of household chores, cook, and head off to rehearsals, returning in the evening. Even though I wasn't entirely comfortable with this new routine, I didn't voice my concerns because I didn't want to jeopardize her first professional opportunity. Besides, her weekend earnings were more than what she made during the entire week. As time went on, Tracy and I began to grow apart. To occupy myself, I started playing video games and hanging out with some old friends, occasionally inviting them over to my place. These were friends I had known since high school and college, so I trusted and confided in them. When I shared with them about Tracy's acting passion and her busy schedule, one of my friends, Eric, suggested that I keep a close eye on Tracy because he had heard rumors of actresses doing inappropriate things to secure good roles. However, I dismissed his advice, confident that Tracy wouldn't resort to such tactics, given her talent. I couldn't have been more wrong. My friends didn't mention Tracy again after my response. They simply advised me to keep a watchful eye because new actors and actresses like Tracy had a reputation for infidelity. I didn't take their words seriously, firmly believing that Tracy would never do anything to harm our relationship or her marriage. Nonetheless, their words lingered in my mind, and subconsciously, I began to act strangely around Tracy, asking her odd questions. When Tracy noticed the change in my behavior and my unusual questions, she confronted me, prompting me to apologize and reveal what my friends had said. After I confided in Tracy, she simply laughed and assured me that she couldn't cheat on me because she loved me deeply. In her words, she said, "You're the best husband in the world, and only a foolish and ungrateful woman would cheat on you." Hearing this brought me inner peace, and I genuinely believed that Tracy would never be unfaithful. Little did I know. Unbeknownst to me, Tracy was simply doing what she excelled at, acting. She had been deceiving me long before our conversation. In the subsequent weeks, Tracy underwent a profound transformation that's hard to put into words. Our conversations felt forced, and the enthusiasm she once had when coming home vanished. Prior to her change, Tracy used to be an open book, eagerly sharing every detail of her rehearsals. Even though I had never attended one, I knew the names, appearances, and personalities of all her fellow actors, because she would tell me everything. We were incredibly close, and I eagerly anticipated her updates every weekend, but that all came to a halt. In addition to withdrawing emotionally, Tracy became defensive, taking offense at almost everything I said, even at old jokes that used to make her laugh. She began to feel like I was targeting her with my humor, or referencing her in most of my remarks. Furthermore, she made a significant upgrade to her wardrobe, wearing revealing dresses specifically on rehearsal days. I voiced my concerns about her attire multiple times, but she dismissed my objections, claiming they were fashionable and I was being old-fashioned. During this time, I assumed she was just trying to keep up with the other actresses who dressed more stylishly. I knew she was competitive when it came to fashion, so the thought of her being unfaithful never crossed my mind. My suspicions grew when she changed her hairstyle every week and spent a lot of time on the phone with a man she claimed to be acting with. One day she did something that truly upset me, and when I expressed my anger, she yelled at me and left the room. It was the first time she had ever done something like that, and I realized I needed to take action. Later that evening, I confided in my friends when they came over, and they wagered that Tracy was already cheating on me. Despite all the signs and changes I had noticed, I couldn't bring myself to believe that Tracy was being unfaithful to me. After all, I had made numerous sacrifices to help her achieve the success she had attained. I argued with my friends, suggesting that perhaps Tracy was going through a difficult phase and was venting her frustration on me. They insisted that my love for her was clouding my judgment and advised me to hire a private investigator if I wanted to uncover the truth about Tracy's infidelity. While I wasn't keen on the idea of someone spying on Tracy, I eventually agreed due to her changing behavior. The following week, I found a private investigator online and hired their services to tail Tracy for a week. On the third day of the week, when the private investigator was keeping an eye on her, Tracy didn't return home after her rehearsals. When she finally came back the next day, she explained that she had attended a birthday party at a club for one of her fellow actresses. She had decided to stay at a nearby hotel with them, feeling it was safer than traveling a long distance late at night. What struck me as odd was that she hadn't informed me about the birthday party, and I had been calling her phone until 3 a.m. When she eventually answered at 3 a.m., she claimed she hadn't heard it ring due to the loud music at the club. She also lied that she had mentioned the all-night birthday party to me, but I hadn't paid attention. I had my suspicions about her story, but I knew the truth would come to light thanks to the private investigator's surveillance. However, for 7 days, I didn't receive any updates from the investigator. It was only when I was on my way back home after visiting my parents that the investigator finally contacted me, saying he had evidence to show me. So, instead of heading home, I went to meet him at his location. Tracy was unaware of my return plans because we had spoken the day before, which was a Friday, and I had told her I would be coming home on Monday morning to spend more time with my parents. Yet, I ended up returning on Saturday. When I met with the private investigator, he presented me with evidence that shattered me and left me speechless. He had photographs and videos of Tracy with a blonde man who turned out to be her lover. The images showed them engaging in intimate moments in Tracy's car, the guy's car, shopping together, dining out, and a video from the night Tracy claimed to be at a club for her friend's birthday party. Through that video, I discovered that she had spent the entire night with him, going clubbing before leaving around 10 p.m. to go to his apartment, where she stayed for the rest of the night. This meant she had seen my calls but deliberately chose not to answer them. I was deeply shocked to discover that Tracy had been unfaithful to me. She seemed like someone with whom I could build a promising future, but that hope was shattered. After the private investigator showed me all the photos and videos, he informed me that he had followed Tracy that evening and found her with her affair partner at my home before contacting me. I was filled with intense anger at that moment, and I had a strong urge to break things. I was too furious to drive, so the private investigator drove me to my house. Upon arriving, I spotted a blue Toyota Venza parked in my driveway, and I immediately recognized it as the same car from the images and videos. I knew without a doubt that Tracy was inside with her affair partner. I can't recall if agreed to let the private investigator follow me, but the next thing I knew, I was inside the house. As I opened the door to our bedroom, I found Tracy and 2 men engaged in an intimate act, clearly caught in the act. The tall blonde guy was on top of Tracy, and the other man was with her as well. I was overwhelmed with anger and didn't know which of the men to confront first. Tracy was dressed in a revealing lingerie outfit, and her hands were bound to the bed. She tried to get up when she saw me, but her movement was restricted. I attacked the blonde guy while the other man quickly grabbed his clothes and hurried away. Fortunately, my private investigator was with me, and he prevented me from resorting to violence. Throughout this chaotic scene, Tracy remained bound to the bed and had already started pleading with me. She claimed that I had misunderstood the situation and that she was simply rehearsing her role for the play with the men. Hearing her absurd excuse further enraged me, and I had the impulse to harm her in her vulnerable state. But I left the room and instructed her to vacate my house by the time I returned. After I left the house with my private investigator, he informed me that he had recorded everything and shared the video with me. I didn't know what to do with the video, but I still accepted it from him. That night, I stayed at one of my friend's places. I was deeply embarrassed that he had been right about Tracy and her new acting career. What was even more heart-wrenching was discovering that Tracy had engaged in a 3-way guy in our room and in our bed. Upon returning home the following morning, I found Tracy still inside the house. She had skipped her rehearsals, aware of her wrongdoing. When I encountered her at home, my anger surged, leading me to evict her and toss her belongings onto the lawn. As she implored me, she insisted that I was making a mistake and urged me to allow her to clarify what had truly transpired. She remained outside for nearly an hour, vociferously calling my name and beseeching me to grant her re-entry. However, after initially displaying remorse, her demeanor shifted to one of abuse, including name-calling, before she left. This incident unfolded just last week, and I've only now mustered the courage to share it here because I haven't felt like myself since the day I caught Tracy with those 2 individuals. I can't fathom how all of this transpired right under my nose. I didn't overly pamper Tracy or act as a pushover. We shared financial responsibilities, she handled most of the household chores, and I consistently maintained emotional composure in our relationship. I mention this because I've heard countless stories of men ignoring warning signs. Looking back, I realize I should have initiated an investigation the moment our communication began to deteriorate, and she started upgrading her wardrobe. But is this what marriage is supposed to entail? Suspecting your spouse when they acquire new clothing or change their communication patterns due to work-related fatigue. I believe it shouldn't. What's most exasperating is that she has incessantly called my phone since I asked her to leave. I've been contemplating the ideal form of retaliation and considering revealing the video I possess to her director. Update 1. Hi everyone, I appreciate your comments. I'm pleased that none of you think it's too extreme. So one person mentioned that I did some digging on the second guy in the video, and I did indeed. You won't believe what I found out, folks. Turns out he's B and currently in a relationship with Tracy's director. Tracy's director happens to be not straight, and I can only imagine how angry and betrayed he'll be when he discovers that Tracy seduced his boyfriend. Speaking of Tracy, she paid a visit to my place 3 days ago. She appeared utterly miserable, with swollen eyelids from crying. Unfortunately for her, my friends were present when she came to plead with me. Although they didn't utter a word to her, their body language and eye rolls clearly irritated Tracy. She became increasingly upset seeing me hanging out with my friends while ignoring her, and she yelled at me, "So, Mike, is this how it's going to be? You'll let your friends disrespect your wife over a minor disagreement between us?" Throughout Tracy's plea on the porch, I remained silent and didn't make any moves. I stayed indoors, listening to her. However, when she audaciously made that statement, I stormed out of the house, ready to confront her, but my friends intervened. At that moment, I was prepared to face legal consequences for assault and was willing to accept the consequences. Before leaving my house that day, Tracy created a scene. She brought up all the promises we had made to each other and how I had pledged to grow old with her. I was seething with anger, but I couldn't take any action even if I had wanted to. Despite waiting for a while without receiving a response from me, she inquired about the theater art academy that I had promised to support her in. I had the urge to tell her to seek support from her affair partners, but I simply wanted her to stop talking and leave. Therefore, I remained silent, and eventually, she departed in shame. I've already reached out to a divorce attorney, and once the documents are prepared, he'll send them to her for her signature. As for the revenge, I'll follow the advice you all have given. I realize that sharing the video with her director might not completely derail her career, but it will certainly jeopardize all the effort she's put in for months. Knowing that Tracy cheated on me with her director's boyfriend has increased my enthusiasm for sending the video to him. Update 2. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to provide this update because things have taken a more complicated turn for Tracy than I anticipated. Following my last update, it took me 2 weeks to locate her director online, and I successfully tracked him down. He's a newcomer in the film industry, working as a director, and he's been gaining recognition. So, Tracy's director and I arranged to meet, and he showed up. He was eager to meet me since I had mentioned having something to share about his partner and one of his actors. When we met on the agreed day, I didn't waste time with small talk. After exchanging greetings, I presented him with the video featuring his boyfriend, the blonde guy, and Tracy. He was deeply disappointed and heartbroken to the point that he shed tears right there. No exaggeration. He confided in me that he had suspected his boyfriend's involvement with one of the cast members but had never caught them in the act. He also mentioned that his boyfriend had cheated on him in the past, but he had forgiven him, attributing it to alcohol influence. Honestly, I wasn't particularly concerned about his boyfriend's actions. My primary interest lay in what he intended to do regarding Tracy and her affair partner. When I inquired about his plans for them, he admitted he hadn't thought about it yet. I urged him not to let them off the hook, especially considering what Tracy had done to him. In short, Tracy's director decided to terminate Tracy and her blonde affair partner from their roles, although I'm uncertain if he ended his relationship with his boyfriend afterward. Seeing Tracy lose her job brought me satisfaction, watching all her hard work crumble like dust in the wind. I wanted her to experience the pain of investing her entire effort into something, only to see it ruined by someone else. When Tracy was dismissed from her job, the divorce documents were prepared and my attorney sent them to her. Upon receiving the papers, she called me and pleaded that I not destroy everything we had worked hard to build. I reminded her that she had initiated the ruinous path the moment she entertained thoughts of cheating on me. I also informed her that I was the one who exposed the video, which consequently shattered her months of dedication with her director. I anticipated her reaction, and she didn't disappoint. She claimed that I was envious of her and resented her ability to pursue her passion, unlike myself. I simply chuckled because I saw through her intentions and ended the call. She signed the divorce papers 2 weeks ago, and I'm now updating this as a divorced individual. Though it's painful, I'm relieved that she's no longer a part of my life. I want to express my gratitude to everyone for your comments and support.
All right, that was a fun story. Now let's move on to another exciting one. Stay tuned and let's dive in.
My girlfriend cheated on me because I couldn't afford a $3,000 bag. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and I was in a relationship with a woman I'll refer to as Luna, who is 26. We had been dating for over 2 years when, one day, I discovered her kissing someone in a Mercedes-Benz cabriolet. This happened about a week ago during an office party. After a few drinks, my coworker and I stepped outside for some fresh air, and something caught our attention. A shiny blue Mercedes-Benz cabriolet parked about 2 buildings away in front of a hotel. We thought it was just an empty car, so we casually approached it to admire its beauty up close. As we got closer to the car, we realized that someone was inside. The car was shaking oddly, and it dawned on us that a couple was engaged in an intimate moment inside. My coworker and I stopped in our tracks and couldn't help but burst into laughter, realizing that we were about to disturb someone in their private moment. We stayed there for a smoke, and then something happened that sent shivers down my spine. A woman emerged from the car, fixing her hair and playfully teasing the man with her. They both walked into the hotel, handing the car keys to the valet. To my shock, that woman turned out to be my girlfriend, Luna, who had been kissing the man in the Mercedes. My initial amusement quickly turned into heartache. My coworker knew Luna and was taken aback to see her entering a hotel hand in hand with another man. I didn't know the guy. I had never seen him before. I understand that I've jumped into the topic without providing any background. I work as a sales executive in a multinational company, MNC. Luna and I were colleagues when I worked part-time as a cashier at a supermarket, and Luna was a store assistant. We became friends during that time, but nothing romantic happened because I was a busy college student, and Luna didn't show any romantic interest either. Luna had to drop out of college to support her family, and she's been working 2 jobs since she was 19. I deeply respect her dedication. About a year ago, I unexpectedly ran into her at the same supermarket where we used to work. She had been promoted to floor supervisor. It had been 5 years since we'd seen each other, and like old friends, we decided to catch up over coffee. During our conversation, I casually asked if she was in a relationship, to which she responded with a gesture that made it seem like I was asking her out. Since I was single at the time, I told her I wouldn't mind taking her out. We exchanged numbers, and the following weekend we went for a drink. Over time, our relationship grew, and we've been together for over 2 years now. Throughout our relationship, I encouraged her to finish her college education because I believed it was holding back her career potential. She explained that she couldn't afford college as she had to support her parents. Initially, I sympathized with her because she was sacrificing her career for her family's sake. However, I later discovered that she was only sending 25% of her income to her parents. Despite having a stable job at the supermarket, she struggled with her evening jobs, moving from one job to another, trying her hand at various roles from waitress to bartender. Due to her working 2 jobs, I suggested that she consider quitting one and enroll in college. I believed that the income from a single job could cover her expenses and support her family. However, she strongly opposed the idea of returning to college, stating that the income from one job wasn't sufficient for her survival. I respected her decision and didn't push the matter further. The truth is, I wanted her to complete her education and secure a stable daytime job. I had plans to propose to her in a few months, and her busy schedule was the main obstacle to settling down with her. I genuinely loved her and was committed to our relationship. I attempted to discuss my desire to get married and start a family within a year, emphasizing the importance of her stabilizing her career first. She brushed it off, asserting that marriage and career were separate matters. She expressed her own desire to marry me within a year, but insisted on maintaining her bustling career. She felt that a monotonous daytime job would be too dull for her and preferred the excitement of hopping between jobs. I'm not sure if I should have recognized this as a red flag, but I clearly missed that signal. Luna didn't believe in saving money. Instead, she spent her entire income on her lifestyle. Like many others, she had a strong affinity for designer clothing, bags, and shoes. Without knowing Luna's profession or background, one might assume she came from a wealthy family based on her appearance. Personally, I didn't view this as an issue. Initially, I did offer advice on saving money, but she argued that her hard work justified indulging in these expensive choices. Moreover, she funded her lavish preferences with her own earnings. A year ago, she inquired if she could move in with me because her friend, with whom she had been living, was relocating to a different city. Luna couldn't afford the apartment expenses on her own, so she proposed that we live together. I was delighted that she wanted to take our relationship to the next level, as I was quite serious about her. I assured her that she didn't need to contribute financially since I was already covering the rent and other household bills by myself. Instead, I suggested she save that money for herself. Money wasn't a significant concern for me, and aside from the increased food expenses, her moving in didn't substantially impact our financial situation, so I didn't mind. 6 months ago, I received a promotion at work, a moment of great pride for me, given the hard work I had invested. To celebrate my achievement, I took Luna out for a romantic candlelit dinner at an upscale restaurant. She was genuinely thrilled to experience the service at a premium establishment, considering her usual role as a service provider in places like these, working as a waitress or bartender. She expressed her happiness and joked that I was raising her expectations. I wanted to pamper her, as any man would for his girlfriend or wife. Little did I realize that I was unintentionally causing my own problems. Following that dinner, Luna began subtly hinting that I should take her out regularly, essentially meaning every weekend. However, she wasn't suggesting ordinary places like Subway or McDonald's. She aimed for fancier dining establishments every weekend. For the past few months, I accommodated her requests, thinking that her enthusiasm would eventually wane. While her dining out habit didn't diminish, she developed a new inclination for gifts. She started requesting gifts from me, not tied to any specific occasion, but rather randomly and often expensive ones, such as Zara dresses or the latest iPhones, and more. Her birthday was last month, and I casually inquired about her birthday gift preferences. Her wish list took me by surprise. It was a $3,000 Chanel bag. I chuckled, thinking it was a joke, but she took offense. She accused me of judging her based on her choice. I assured her that I wasn't judging her, but had genuinely thought she was joking. Spending $3,000 on a bag was something I couldn't quite comprehend. Rather than acknowledging her unreasonable request, she tried to justify it. She argued that with my substantial raise following the promotion, I should be treating her to something extravagant. Furthermore, she pointed out that I hadn't given her any significant gifts during our 2 years of dating. Her statement shocked me. While it's true I hadn't given her expensive gifts, I'd been covering all our household expenses for the past year. Even before she moved in, I'd been footing the bill for our lunches and dinners whenever we went out. I intentionally didn't let her pay because she earned less, and although she didn't object to this arrangement, she managed to make me feel guilty for not providing her with what she wanted. She argued that $3,000 was merely 10 days' worth of my salary, and some people spend their entire month's salary on their significant other. I acknowledged that $3,000 might be equivalent to 10 days' pay, but I couldn't justify spending that much money on a bag. I recognize that many people are enthusiastic about extravagant brands like $50,000 Nike shoes or $10,000 Gucci belts, but I personally didn't see the value in investing in such short-term fashion items. I suggested that if she wished, I could give her that money, and she could use it to acquire vocational skills to enhance her career. I realized it might sound mundane, but I couldn't think of a better way to spend $3,000. In response, she rolled her eyes and labeled me as stingy. She was clearly upset with me, but didn't express it verbally. Her demeanor had shifted noticeably after the bag incident, and I assumed she was just temporarily bothered by it. On the eve of her birthday, I came home early to arrange a surprise for her. I had taken a half-day off from work to buy flowers, candles, cakes, and a couple of Zara dresses she had been eyeing. I waited for her until midnight, her usual return time. However, since our argument, she'd been coming home later. I tried calling her to check when she'd be back, but she didn't answer. About an hour later, she messaged me, explaining that her colleagues had organized a surprise party for her birthday, and she'd be spending the night there. I felt deeply disappointed because I had also planned a surprise and spent the entire evening preparing for it. Of course, I couldn't blame her since she had no knowledge of my intentions. Nonetheless, I couldn't help but feel uneasy about her spending her birthday night with friends without inviting me. Feeling upset and exhausted, I drifted off to sleep on the couch. I woke up the next morning when Luna returned home, clearly intoxicated from her party. She was happy to see the surprise I had arranged in the house. She cuddled with me and apologized for being absent the entire night. I explained that I had taken a day off on her birthday to spend quality time together, but she didn't seem enthusiastic about the plan. She mentioned having to go to work since she hadn't taken a day off. I suggested she call in sick, but she declined. I felt genuinely disappointed because I had put so much effort into planning and was excited about sharing a special day with her. She disregarded my request and proceeded with her routine of showering, getting dressed, and heading off to work. I chose not to argue with her since it was her birthday and allowed her to do as she pleased. Before she left, I hugged her and inquired if she might stay back, but she declined, stating that she didn't want a dull day on her birthday. This puzzled me, and I asked for clarification. She explained that she preferred not to spend her birthday at home sipping wine. Being an outgoing person, she wanted to celebrate outdoors. I suggested we could go to a resort or take a nearby day trip, but she responded, "My workday sounds more exciting than your plan." I lost my patience and let her go. I realized I should have planned something more in line with Luna's extroverted and party-loving nature. Rather than just organizing an intimate celebration for the two of us, I should have considered a bigger birthday bash. In the following days, I attempted to lift her spirits by promising to make her next birthday truly special. She mentioned that nothing less than a trip to Hawaii would meet her standards of delight. I didn't say much, just offered a tight-lipped smile. Her high expectations, considering I had never even left the state, raised a red flag, and this time I took notice. I began observing her more closely and noticed that something was amiss. Coincidentally, last week, I witnessed her engaging in an intimate encounter in that luxurious car and then entering a 5-star hotel with a man. Seeing them enter, I couldn't resist the urge to follow them into the hotel. A colleague stopped me, warning that my actions might get me kicked out of the lobby and advised me to be cautious and alert. My colleague suggested we return to our office party, but I wasn't in the mood to continue with the festivities. Instead, I lingered in front of the hotel, waiting for them to exit. Eventually, my friend insisted that we leave, as it was possible they were spending the night together, and waiting there all night wasn't feasible. Reluctantly, he drove me back home, and I was so overwhelmed with distress that I could hardly catch my breath. In my emotional state, I packed up all of Luna's belongings and left them outside the apartment. I can't even recall when I finally managed to sleep. I awoke to the sound of Luna's loud voice demanding to know what had happened to her packed belongings. I informed her that she could return to her wealthy boyfriend, with whom she had spent the previous night. Her response was, "Oh, so you found out, great!" It infuriated me, and I shouted at her, demanding to know when all of this had been going on. She casually replied that there was no need for drama. She sought out these affluent men because I was frugal and couldn't afford to buy her a Chanel bag. Her eyes were devoid of remorse or warmth as she collected her things and departed. It's disheartening and astonishing how some people can stoop so low for the sake of money. I'm not entirely sure what my next steps will be, but I'm determined not to let that woman walk all over me. Update. Hello, everyone. It has been over 6 months since my initial post, and I'm providing an update now because there hasn't been much worth sharing until recently. In my last post, I mentioned seeking revenge for the cheating, but life took its course, and things changed. A few weeks after the breakup, coincidentally, my company sent me to Seattle for a month-long project, which turned out to be quite therapeutic. The change in surroundings helped me move on more swiftly. Upon returning, I wouldn't say I had completely forgotten about her, but I had made significant progress in moving forward. I took the step of blocking her on all social media platforms, ensuring I had no way of seeing or knowing about her activities. A week ago, Luna paid a visit to my home, appearing utterly miserable. My anger had subsided by then, so I allowed her to come inside. Curious about her sudden appearance, I inquired about the reason for her visit. She broke down, offering her apologies. Luna expressed remorse for jeopardizing our relationship over materialistic gifts. I, however, had moved on from the past and urged her to do the same. She proceeded to share that I was the only person who had ever truly cared for her, while everyone else had simply used her for physical reasons. In response, I pointed out that she couldn't label others as users when she had received expensive gifts in exchange. Luna countered that she didn't desire those lavish items, but instead, she longed for a committed partner to settle down with, as she had been hustling for the past decade. I wished her luck in finding the right man because I was no longer that person for her. She begged me for another chance, explaining that she was financially destitute and had been crashing on a friend's couch due to her inability to afford her own place. I reminded her that she had 2 jobs, which should have been sufficient for a basic living. This revelation left me in shock, as she had informed me over our 2-year relationship that she was consistently working. She went on to disclose that she used to go out with her friends every evening, engage with men at bars, and engage in intimate encounters with them in exchange for gifts and money. I won't go into further detail, but that was the essence of what she meant. I was left utterly speechless, my shock rendering me almost incapable of responding. Luna explained that she was nearing her 30s and found it increasingly challenging to balance her daytime job with her nocturnal activities. She expressed a desire to settle down and lead a more conventional life. She implored me not to judge her and to consider taking her back. Luna made promises of being a good wife. I assured her that I held no judgment, but I couldn't overlook the fact that she had deceived me for 2 years, lied, and cheated on me. These were things I couldn't forget. She held my hand and wept, revealing her financial struggles and desperation for assistance. I firmly conveyed to her that I couldn't rekindle our relationship and requested that she respect my decision to be left alone. Her confession left me grappling with the realization that I had been in a relationship with someone who had been involved with other men regularly, and I felt foolish for having loved her throughout those years. I confided in my friend, the same one who had been with me when I witnessed Luna's intimacy in that car. He suggested that I should undergo an STD test since I had been with her for so many years while she had been involved with others. There was a chance I could have contracted something. I initially hesitated because I hadn't experienced any symptoms, but my friend emphasized that symptoms could take years to manifest, so it was better to err on the side of caution. I've scheduled the test for tomorrow, hoping for a clean outcome. Update 2. I'm relieved to share that my STD test results came back clean, thank goodness. Today, as I was passing by the supermarket where I first met Luna, or where she used to work, something compelled me to go inside. I entered and found myself lingering in the food aisle when one of the long-serving employees who happened to be my former co-worker from when I worked there spotted me. He approached me and, knowing that I had dated Luna, I inquired if she was still employed there because I couldn't spot her. He informed me that Luna had been let go from her job 3 months ago. Naturally, I asked him for the reason, but he claimed not to be in the know. I then shared the details of my breakup with Luna, and it was then that he unveiled the truth. According to him, Luna had recently been caught on camera attempting to make advances toward male customers who appeared affluent. The security had been monitoring her activities for a while, but since nothing incriminating had been captured on camera, they couldn't take any action. It was a common sight to see her leaving the supermarket in their car after her shift. However, 3 months ago, she was caught engaging in intimate activities with a customer in a secluded corner of the store. Initially, she received a warning because of her tenure with the company. However, a few days later, the same customer returned to the store and caused a major scene, alleging that Luna had stolen money from his wallet when she had visited his house for the night. Consequently, the management had to take decisive action, resulting in her termination from the job. I inquired whether, given his many years of working alongside her, he had ever found her to be suspicious. He responded by expressing his astonishment upon discovering the truth about her because, as far as he knew, she had always appeared quite ordinary among her co-workers and friends. No one had any inkling of her hidden reality. He went on to mention that Luna's reputation within their professional community had deteriorated significantly to the point where nobody was willing to vouch for her or offer her a job. It had become evident that she was exploiting men to finance her extravagant lifestyle. I'm sharing this here to raise awareness so that others can exercise caution when dating someone new. I consider myself fortunate that my involvement with her lasted only 2 years. I've come across numerous stories where partners concealed their true selves for many years, even after marriage. Thank goodness I managed to break free before things got too serious. My advice is to conduct a thorough background check before considering marriage, or at the very least, spend ample time getting to know the person, meeting their parents, and becoming acquainted with their friends before committing to a serious relationship.